Ratings is a show just for you. We talk film, TV, both old and new. We discover new things, our taste get broader. So here's the show's host in no particular order. He's a little rough, he's a little caustic. Everybody knows the most, the one and only toxic. From way up top, you find another to start. You forgot to press like when you StreamYard. Stupenzolicious gonna judge you on your sense of cool by asking you what's your favorite Mexican food. He shouldn't tell secrets, but you know that he can. It's the Hollywood goss from the inside man. Run by Lance, who sometimes drinks cappuccino. Everybody thinks he looks like Quentin Tarantino. So come on in and join the Nielsen ratings. It's a show that you've all been anticipating.
And the gang's all here. Toxic may or may not be with us tonight. I'm not quite sure. But we have Stupenzolicious all the way from his new library, Northern English Bastard, and the Inside Man, who's been on with me twice tonight. So Inside Man, you get a special gift as you've done 2 streams with me in one day. I present to you Old Gitanol. Anti-grumpy Git tablets. So for the curmudgeon, fast relief from grumpy old Git thoughts and behaviour.
You know, I'll ignore. I won't take them. So
I recommend triple the dose for the normal adult for you.
Yeah, please.
Yeah. So they're in the post. They're on the way.
Oh, bless you.
Thought you'd love those. Okay, fantastic stuff. So Northern, if you could send Toxic the link, that'd be great. We have just finished interviewing Wayne Byrne about his new book, You Can't Kill the Boogeyman, about all 13 Halloween movies. We just talked about 13 Halloween movies. I didn't know there were that many until today because I haven't seen them all. Yeah, that was. But it was interesting.
He's a great guy. He really is a smashing bloke, isn't he? He really
is a fantastic chap. The book is available for pre-order. Here it is on Amazon. The ongoing Halloween saga, 13 moves and counting. And the foreword by Tony Topone is the former editor of Fangoria, film horror magazine, which was great magazine back in the day that I used to buy quite avidly. But we're going to be talking more about the Oscars today and some films. We'll try and, for the benefit of everyone, we'll try and spend a shorter period of time talking about the Oscars than we will about films, because we're here to recommend films and TV shows for you, not really talk about award shows, but we'll talk about it a little bit in the context of stuff we've seen and so on. So I'm going to get a list of the Oscar winners up for us to look at, and I know that Stupenzolicious and myself have both seen 2 of the films that were in competition. One of those was Anora, and the other one was The Brutalist. So both of those films I watched fairly recently. I think I mentioned The Brutalist previously. I found it quite brutal watching it. It seemed to go on for forever. And I just wasn't. Yeah, it just reeked of a film that was made for the award season. Yeah. For me, but anyway, let's go through them as listed here, very helpfully from the Guardian newspaper. So, I have to say I'm absolutely over the moon that Kieran Culkin won Best Supporting Actor. I think he deserves it. He's a brilliant actor. Guy Pearce was good. Jeremy Strong was good. Edward Norton was good, but I didn't think maybe the character wasn't as great as the others. Yuri Borisov, is that Stupenzo? Is that the actor in Anora who kind of plays the one who sort of falls in love with her?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, the
I
Russian guy.
Yeah. I thought he actually was very, very good. I really did like his performance, has to be said.
Yeah.
But I think, he's relatively new. Kieran Culkin has definitely earned the win. And I liked his performance in Real Pain.
I saw a funny meme saying how Demi Moore losing to Mikey Madison is basically the whole point of the movie The Substance, like it's kind of the whole thing. Also, I saw Kieran Culkin's acceptance speech, which was really funny, basically reminding his wife that
they're gonna have another baby.
Yeah, I said, hey, you said that when I win an award we'll have a third baby. Well, you also said if I get an Oscar I'll get a fourth kid, so FYI. That's pretty funny.
Yeah, so that's pretty entertaining. Toxic's here. Welcome, sir.
Hey, guys.
Hello, mate. Just a little bit of trivia. I just wanted to throw this in about the best actors and best actors, actress, best supporting actor, best supporting actress, about their goodie bags. Do you know about their goodie bags?
Please, don't they get like
in them?
Yeah,
please tell us.
Yeah, they get they in their goodie bags this year. All four categories, all four nominated categories. They got $1 million voucher for disaster relief voucher, a $50,000 project management voucher, $25,000 voucher for liposuction.
What?
A $260 chopping board. Go figure.
You can gift the liposuction voucher to someone else, though, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I'd be pretty pissed if I was like an actor. I'd be like, "Hey, we got you something. It's free lipo." I'd be like, "Man, fuck you."
$3,500 voucher for a virtual wellness retreat.
Is it normally all vouchers? I thought usually you get a bunch of cool stuff like caviar and laptops.
Here comes the cool part. Here comes the really cool part. $750 worth of pre-rolled joints and cannabis gummy bears.
All right. You got me there. That's all right.
And that was all four categories goodie bag for this year.
That's ridiculous. That's a lame ass goodie bag. I've heard of some other years where you're like, man, that's a lot of cool stuff.
Hang on, but they got $1 million voucher of relief fund. What do you get for the £1 million?
In case your house burned down in LA.
Yeah. So what do you redeem that against? Like builders and carpenters and
I should think so. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. $50,000 voucher for
what if you got that voucher but your house didn't burn down? You go and you see which of your buddies is kind of at the
cash it in.
And, hey, let me. Your £7 million house burned down, so me and Demi have agreed to spot you our vouchers, but we both want the liposuction. So can we have your liposuction voucher? Is that all right?
There you go.
I'm
sure there's a trade-off there going
on. Best animated feature. I have not seen all of these.
I've seen them all, and I was ranting and raving about Flo and Memoir of a
Snail.
Yeah,
you've been saying to us it's great. I haven't been able to watch it yet, so in that case, I'm glad it won because I'm sure it deserved it.
Yeah, after watching Flo and Memoir of a Snail, I think Flo definitely has this like massive rewatchability factor because it's so abstract,
Right.
Memoir of a Snail was a little the second time around it's very
slow.
It's a lot of narration, a lot of narrating what's going on, and it's like a story, So
is it a slow snail like story?
No, it's actually pretty fun.
Thanks for stealing my joke, Lance.
Yeah. I thought I'd throw that in there. You set them up and I'll attempt to knock them down.
That's how we could do it at the club when we're picking up chicks.
Yeah. So Flo I still have not seen. I do need to watch this movie. Everybody's recommending it, saying
Yeah, I was
you-
talking about it on my show. How like, we're surrounded by all these, movie, armchair review guys, and like they haven't watched any of these movies. But also, what's also hilarious is I was talking about how the Oscars nowadays, they seem to be kind of like the New York bestseller list. Like it's not an actual bestseller list. It's just like, hey, it's like a ploy to advertise these movies for people to see. Like, oh, I should see this Parasite movie because it won Best Picture. Oh, I should see this Anora movie. It's like all, if you go back before 2015, the Oscar winners for Best Picture were all pretty commercial mainstream movies. Forrest Gump and Braveheart. Everybody watched those and everybody liked them. But yeah, they're definitely going for more of these. And I don't know. I guess maybe I've said before that the movies nowadays are there's a lot of garbage you have to sift through to get to the good movies, and it seems like the good movies are just kind of buried and don't get a lot of attention because it's good to, it's fun to hate on stuff, and talk about those for weeks and weeks and months and months. But when something's good, it gets like a little tweet like, "Hey, this is good. Check it out."
They'll get clicks, though. That's the thing.
Well, but I'm not here to be a media whore. I'm here to promote good stuff for you and promote the work of passionate people. So if that takes me longer to get subscribers, that's fine.
But here's the thing. Here's the thing, right? With the Oscars, so this is the movie industry's night, right? This is the night of the movie industry. It's the night of nights. Okay, the big event, and throughout the entire 3 hours and 45 minutes worth of its run time that it was this year, there was only one 15-second spot advertising a movie. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
One 15-second spot. That was a John Wick movie. John Wick.
I'm surprised that you're not getting constant, streaming app commercials. That's another thing I said is like Netflix getting all these award nominations is weird. They didn't really get a lot of awards, but well, I said before, like when Netflix wins Best Picture, that's it. It's over. Movie theaters, we'll pack it in.
Yeah.
But yeah, as far as like the awards ceremony itself, I heard there wasn't a lot of, there was no Oscar slap. There was no cringe-inducing speeches. I heard Adrian Brody broke the record for the longest speech for like 5 minutes and 40 seconds.
Yeah.
But he won twice, whatever. Let him talk. He's a nice guy. We haven't seen him in a while. 6 minutes isn't too long.
Yeah. And he threw his gun in his wide.
He gets an extra minute Hutaris bonus.
Yeah.
So
that's right. Yeah.
But what I did see, I heard, it was a relatively safe ceremony in terms of like not being too political or whatever, too cringe-inducing. But I did love the opening.
No one mentioned the president at all.
I heard there was a couple Trump jabs here and there, but
there was one Trump joke. One Trump.
Yeah, that's expected. Well, I don't mind 2 or 3 Trump jokes. Whatever. But the problem is when it's all that. It's like, come on. But what I did love was Conan O'Brien. I think he should host again. It was crazy that he's never hosted before, and he did.
He did a good speech at the beginning.
His opening monologue where he crawls out of Demi Moore's back is amazing. Look it up on YouTube. And then he does like a 10-minute roast of everybody. And then he goes into a huge music number about how he's not going to waste any time this year.
Yeah.
And it was very funny.
Yeah, it was all right. Well, let me go to Best Original Screenplay because that would have been the award I would have loved to have won one year as a writer. I'm glad that Anora got it because it is an original screenplay. There's been some years where it's quite debatable whether it's an original screenplay, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And that's why later they brought out Best Adapted Screenplay, which is a category that wasn't there at the beginning. I'm glad that Anora got this. I liked the movie. I really liked it. Mickey Madsen was great in it.
I want to say a year or two ago, I recommended Sean Baker's previous film, Red Rocket.
You did.
You did.
Yeah, that was really good, and I'm glad. I didn't even realize that these were the same guys until like after I saw the movie. But it makes sense. But I feel like he's gonna like what's when you get these kind of awards in one of your early films, you Yeah, nobody really saw Red Rocket, and now everyone's going to watch this one. And who knows what he's going to do next?
I bought Red Rocket on DVD off a man on a beach in Uganda at Lake Victoria. Want to buy a DVD? And there's no, there's no film channels in Uganda when you're living there for 3 months. There's no video stores where you can rent movies. What there are stores that sell pirated DVDs with the covers printed on, so they look like they're official. And they pin them up on the wall in a plastic bag in a store. And then you also have these guys with sacks that sell them on the beach. And that's basically the only, unless you've brought films with you, that's the only way you're going to get to watch films in Uganda. It's a third world country. So, we bought a stack of movies and actually some entire seasons of shows that they'd done as well. And that's how I got to watch Red Rocket.
Nice.
So but we mentioned September the 5th. We talked about it. Myself and the Inside Man really liked it. I think The Substance certainly would have been worthy of that win as well. The Brutalist. That screenplay is fucking boring. Sorry. It's just
it was a lot of style over substance, The Brutalist.
Yeah.
But it did have style. It had a cool
it looked good. And I mean,
I was saying the opening and closing credits were really cool looking.
Yeah, they were, and almost like they were from a different movie, which
graphic
was very
design wise.
Yeah.
I like the scene. I like the scene where they the early in the movie where they redo Guy Pearce's library and make it all like awesome with these like hidden bookshelves, behind these panels and stuff. It was cool, like cool architecture, cool stuff like that. But yeah, it was just definitely a movie you could watch double speed. I'll put it that way.
Yeah.
You guys think that if go ahead.
God, Guy Pearce's character liked his library so much that he gave Guy Pearce one up the Unus later in the film. But there you go. I mean, it's a metaphor with we look down upon you and you're worth nothing. But it's like, why would you do that? It still doesn't make any sense whatsoever in the story.
Do you guys think that if The Substance was a little less body horror, a little more palatable, that it would have done better?
No,
I think it probably would have done, actually. I think it's got one foot in the horror. Horror never does well at the Oscars.
Yeah.
Can't think of any.
The reason I ask is just because a lot of our fellow YouTubers, Nadia, Vex, like that, they adored the movie, but they said stuff like, it's just a little bit too much body horror for them, kind of put them off. And I was just wondering, because it was so well acted, I would have picked that over most of the contenders, and I certainly would have picked Demi Moore over
I think Demi Moore had earned it, and I
think so too.
Don't forget that the Academy themselves are the people who vote for this.
Yeah.
So and the majority of the Academy would have been Demi Moore's peers rather than Mickey Madsen's peers.
Man, honestly though, I'd rather have this hardcore body horror movie that didn't get awards, got snubbed, than a more palatable movie that did win awards. I mean, The Substance is awesome, but rewatching it, it is a little heavy-handed.
Yeah,
and it's not very subtle, obviously. But I would definitely I think maybe it could have won over Best Director. The direction was really good. It's just really difficult to win Best Director and not win Best Picture.
I remember that being a big thing in '98 was, and you mentioned earlier, just to backtrack, you mentioned that it didn't used to be, it used to be just all these kind of safe films that, everybody kind of loved and enjoyed, like Forrest Gump. I'm not saying that that's not true to an extent, but then there was also stuff like no one had ever really heard of,
English
Patient, Good Will Hunting, stuff like that. It wasn't until they got re-released in the theaters. I remember because I was working at a theater at the time, and everyone that was coming in was asking, is this the one that won the Oscars? Is this the Oscar-winning one?
Well, dare I say it, even The Shawshank Redemption.
Yeah, well, that lost to
Nobody
Forrest
knew the
Gump.
Shawshank.
Yeah, but
yeah, that lost though.
but still,
Yeah,
it was really,
but
it
it
was
was
a really
still nominated.
neck and neck.
Correct.
Yeah, with those two. But also, yeah, I mean, sometimes they do that. Like Crouching Tiger was a good that they got nominated. It's like, hey, we appreciate this movie. And sometimes like The English Patient, debatable whether it should have won. Then there's like Shakespeare in Love, which most people think shouldn't have won.
Definitely not. Definitely not.
I mean,
the,
Private Ryan,
the English Patient for me, which is an adaptation of a book, was another one which was it looked amazing. I did not care about any of the people in the story.
I loved it. I absolutely loved that film.
Yeah, it grew on me.
Debate for another time.
Well, the other thing that's interesting is like the 10 nominees for Best Picture. That's a big mistake, and we got to go back to the 5 because 10 is just too many, and you get these like sympathy nominations.
Yeah,
It used to be there would be occasionally where you would sometimes get, because there's these limited nominees, you would sometimes get the Best Director nomination who wasn't nominated for Best Picture. And that didn't happen a lot. And it was even rarer. I think it's only happened twice where someone won Best Director and the movie that he directed wasn't even nominated for Best Picture.
It's funny you say that too, because I can remember reading the CinemaScape article back in 98, and they were like, how did Saving Private Ryan have the best director, but it wasn't the best movie? And how did Shakespeare in Love be the best movie without the best director? That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, that's rare. That's rare. But like I say, what's even rarer, like I said, I think it's only happened twice, but like best director wins, but the movie he directed wasn't even nominated for Best Picture. And because of the 10 nominees, like that's never going to happen. This is why you get Avatar getting nominated just like for funsies. This is why you get like, what other, some just these like generous kind of, hey, you did okay. We'll give you a nomination for Best Picture, as if that's something that you should just like hand around willy-nilly.
Well, let me get on to Best Adapted Screenplay. Conclave won it. I've only seen, of the 5 nominations, I've only seen Conclave and A Complete Unknown. I'm guessing, I don't know the background, but I'm guessing that Conclave is adapted from a stage play because
it's a Thomas Harris.
Is there a book?
Yeah, Thomas Harris book. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So
Thomas Harris did the Hannibal stuff.
Sorry, I beg your pardon. Sorry, Robert Harris. I
guarantee you, we will see a stage production of this film at some point because it lends itself well. It's lots of really good actors having really good acting scenes in meetings, and if they weren't such an outstanding cast, the film might not be that interesting. But I actually was really gripped. I found it really interesting. I liked it. It felt like a very believable insight to the politics of the Vatican, of course, of which art imitates life. This will be happening right now.
Yeah, I mean the book is absolutely riveting. It really is absolutely.
I can believe it.
It really is very good.
I thought it was a great movie. So I'm quite happy that won Best Adapted Screenplay. I'm happy that The Substance won Best Makeup and Hairstyling. Did you want to say something about screenplay?
Yeah, Conclave. I watched a really good video for Movie Wise, just crapping all over this screenplay, and he was basically saying this screenplay was just, he called the video's called When Stupid Tries to Play Smart. And he's just breaking down how the movie has like no nuance, that there's no debate. It fails in terms of debate, ideas, and language. It's because the characters don't use arguments against each other's ideas. They kind of just don't express their own ideas. It's just kind of one of those, like, I don't know. I recommend watching that video.
you have to ask yourself in within that environment to what degree those people could express their own ideas.
Yeah.
I don't think they could.
I just know that guy Movie Wise is probably really, really upset because he made that video a few months ago, or a month or two ago, and it just won Best Adapted Screenplay.
Well, which just goes to prove that Lance is right. So Zoe Saldana won Best Supporting Actress for Emilia Perez. I haven't seen the movie. Just because that stunning clip of the amazing song.
You're missing out, bro.
Which I know Enzo is planning on doing at a karaoke soon. That didn't. I haven't leapt on it to watch it. I've got a lot of stuff to watch. I'm writing a book. I've got a lot of time commitments at the moment. So I choose what I watch carefully, hoping that it's going to be stuff that I enjoy. However, I'm a massive fan of Zoe Saldana. I think she's fantastic.
Yeah.
I really love her in Avatar. I really sold that character. And I've always liked her work. So, I mean, you've seen the film, Enzo. Did she deserve it?
I mean, she deserves. I'm not upset that Zoe Saldana won an Oscar. I wish she kind of won it for a different movie. This movie's not good. She is fine in it. I mean, she's bilingual. She does music numbers. She's looking kind of plain, which the Academy loves. I remember the first time I noticed Zoe Saldana was in Drumline, which is a movie I don't like.
I've got the DVD of that.
But she's so good looking in that movie, the cheerleader chick or flag girl, was she? She's been in some great movies. I definitely recommend Burning Palms, which is like this twisted Los Angeles anthology. And she's in the fourth and final story, and it is twisted. She is awesome in that one. I don't even want to tell you what it's about. I don't even want to tell you what it's about. Check it out. It'll blow your mind. It's messed up.
If you want to see her range, you got to check out. I know you don't do TV, but you got to check out Lioness, man. It's a fucking kick-ass show. And
we do talk about TV on this channel, and we have talked about Lioness on this channel.
Yeah, the music's
I was
not
just saying
great.
Enzo don't really do TV.
Okay.
No, yeah. There's another. I forgot that before Drumline, she was in the Britney Spears movie Crossroads.
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
Not everything she's done has been amazing, but she's a pretty
Crossroads is
actress.
Amazing. All right.
Yeah.
He was drinking blue beer. That's how you knew he was the bad guy.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's clinched it for me. I've got to watch Crossroads. I thought you meant the Ralph Macchio film from the 90s.
No, that one's a great one. That was like
that
was my guitar player's favorite movie.
Yeah, most people don't remember that
Stevie
film.
Ray Vaughan.
I love that movie.
Yeah.
Jamie Gertz, man. Jamie Gertz.
Okay, let me move on. We've got Best Production Design, Wicked won. I personally think June should have got it, but there we are. Best Original Song, Emilia Perez, El Mal. I hope that's not the song that I'm thinking of.
The fact that movie was nominated twice for the songs and it won, the music was the worst part of that movie.
Right. There was also a nomination in that category for the 6888, which my good friend Milana Jackson was in. I got Critical Drinker to watch that film, and
sorry, that was nominated.
There's the song at the end of the film or something. I think it was nominated for Best Original Song. Yeah, it was good that It was good that you wrote that supportive letter campaign, Inside Man, in order to ensure that happened. It was very, very commendable of you.
What a terrible film!
I've not seen or heard most of these other things. Best documentary short. The Only Girl in the Orchestra. I have seen that. That's on Netflix. It's a good little documentary. I've seen that. That's all right.
Nice.
Best documentary feature. And I do like my documentary features. It's called No Other Land. Has anyone seen it?
Nope.
No.
Okay. The true story of when Inside Man's tractor got out of control.
I remember.
Yeah. But it may not be about that. I'm not too sure of the story of this. Let's have a quick look. The film is made by Palestinian Israeli collective, shows the destruction of the occupied West Bank by Israeli soldiers and the alliance which develops between Palestinian activists and Israeli journalists. I'll just say something quickly about that before we all rant on about, it won because of what's going on at the time. I saw a documentary. This is way before everything kicked off to the degree that it has. About 10 years ago, this would have been. I know it was around the time of the beginnings of my last relationship, and it was about a Palestinian young guy about 20 and an Israeli young guy about 20, and they had both created young people's sort of support group to allow Palestinian and Israeli young people to interact with each other, to socialize with each other. And it was like a club, and they had to sneak the members back and forth, through the checkpoints and stuff. And which I thought was great. I thought, what a fantastic initiative. Start with the young, get them to talk to each other. Surely that's got to be a way forward. And I thought it was brilliant. I thought it was a brilliant thing that these two kids had done. Ultimately, it was broken up by, the Mossad security services and, of course, Palestinian extremists, etc. And I think in the end, it all dissolved. But that was great, and I thought it was a really good documentary. And I'm glad somebody made a film about it, because I never would have known that these people were trying these kinds of initiatives. If this film embraces that kind of ideology and isn't one-sided, I'd like to see it. That's all I've got to say about it. Okay. Anyone? So no one else has seen it, so we're not going to. We can't offer any comment on it. Okay. Best sound. I absolutely knew that they were going to get this award. Dune Part 2 won best sound, basically best sound design, and they won best visual effects. I mean, that was a given, really. Alien Romulus, the effects were quite good, but Better Man. I've watched Better Man, so we'll come back to that in a sec, because Enzo was recommending we should watch it, and I have. Best live action short, I'm Not a Robot. Anyone seen that?
No.
Anyone? No.
No.
Okay. Best cinematography, The Brutalist. Yeah, I mean, the cinematography in it was good. I felt there was a lot of green screen. A lot of green screen soft focus stuff that sort of, it's not really there. You could argue that with Dune Part 2 to a degree. Preferred the photography in Dune Part 2. I haven't seen Emilia Perez or Maria. Nosferatu definitely could have won cinematography as well. Anyone want to comment about the cinematography? Anyone?
Yeah, it's not surprising that Nosferatu didn't win, because it's a horror, but it should have, though, because I mean, every single frame is like a big haunting picture you can hang on your wall.
It's like an art piece, isn't it? Almost every single frame is
something you want to stare at in case you want to delve into the deep dark abyss.
Yeah, I saw a lot of people talking crap about Nosferatu's cinematography, and I thought it had great cinematography because it's all natural lighting, and the blocking, the framing and the blocking is really great. There's a common thing that where they have it's foreground and background, and they have constant movement of characters coming from the background to the foreground. I guess it's a little repetitive, but Brutalist, as far as winning, like I didn't, it was filmed on film, and it did look pretty nice. Dune Part 2 also looked really good. And yeah, Emilia Perez, I mean, it had some good cinematography. It had some good production value, but I really could have been fine with any of these movies winning, honestly.
I'll say this: with at least in regards to Nosferatu, it depends on where you watch it, because I went to the little theater here in my town and watched it, and I enjoyed the movie, but I had a hard time. I'm like, I don't understand what's happening. The sound and the visuals were bad. But then went over to one of my buddy's house, and he's one of those weirdos that has the $12,000 TV or whatever, and we watched it there, and it was like a whole different experience. Like I was like glued to it, because and he's like, "You've seen this before, right?" I'm like, I kind of haven't, because it looks so good on your fucking TV, dude.
Well, that's the problem with the movie theaters, is a lot of times they don't, they put in the speakers, they put in the projector, and that's it. And they don't, there's all systems degrade over time, and you gotta keep your screen clean. You got to keep the projector up to date. Like films, they're getting projected darker and darker,
Yeah.
Let's move on. Best international feature, which I haven't seen but I've heard is great. I'm Still Here. Is true story about, I think it's the wife of one of the disappeared or something like that. It's that sort of storyline. But I tried to find it to watch it, but I haven't been able to watch it. Sadly, I'm glad it won over Emilia Perez.
Well, Walter Salles, he did Men with Guns and a bunch of other good stuff, right? Is that the same guy? Yeah.
Best original score. Being the big soundtrack guy that I am, I was kind of disappointed that The Wild Robot, which I thought brilliant score,
Yeah,
didn't
it was
have.
good.
I mean, also you could argue that Wicked, you know, you could argue that's not an original score because it's
Right.
come from a stage musical.
Absolutely right.
Yeah, and I just think that shouldn't be in that category. Best, you know, maybe original song, maybe, but like really shouldn't be in that category. We're talking score. We're talking, you know,
Yeah, they have
instrumental
very,
scores.
very strict rules about who can be nominated for best score.
But
So
she's
it
played
is
by
weird.
a queer black woman. You bigots.
Well, anyway, the Brutalist. It's an okay score, but yeah, I would have liked the Wild
So
Rose.
who scored this? Who composed it? Sorry.
Daniel Blumberg was the Brutalist.
Oh right, okay.
No.
Yeah, I definitely was like interesting in the Brutalist score once it started. I was like, this sounds pretty interesting. But yeah, it didn't really like draw any attention to it during the movie, you know. It wasn't anything. There wasn't any moments where I'm like, ooh, the soundtrack's really good, you know.
Yeah, especially during that tunnel grape scene in the mine shaft. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah. So, best actor, Adrian Brody for the Brutalist. Now, the other people that were up for that award, Timothée Chalamet, I don't think should have got it for A Complete Unknown. He was great as Bob Dylan, but I just didn't think it was the performance, if you know what I mean, above some of the other nominees. Sebastian Stan was amazing as The Apprentice. I would have been quite happy if he won it. Ralph Fiennes as Conclave. Yeah, he was good. Haven't seen Sing Sing. Has anybody seen this movie, Sing Sing?
No.
I don't. Is that the one where they have the acting? He's the acting coach in the prison.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
I want to watch that. Yeah, I want to watch that. Actually,
I have a feeling that might be based on a stage play as well.
yeah,
But I haven't seen it.
I don't know that guy's name off the top of my head, but he's really good. I recommended a show that he did.
Coleman Domingo.
Coleman Domingo.
Yeah, he's
fabulous,
really good.
Fabulous actor.
Yeah, the girlfriend had me watch that Netflix show that he did, and I think I recommended it on one of your shows once.
Yeah, I know the one you mean. Very, very good. Yeah, I would have been very happy to see him win. He's done a lot of independent films, so he's been in the trenches. So best director. So Sean Baker won best director. I'm actually really glad that he got it because
Really?
yeah, I am. Is Anora the best film? I don't know if it is, but I did like the direction in the movie because that movie works because of the interaction between the characters, and also because it doesn't serve up the typical. You think these guys are all Russian mobsters? They're not really. It's a fashion company, and they're just kind of they're trying to be heavies, but they're not really heavies. I liked that, and I like the way the characters. But Sean Baker, as a director, has done some really interesting stuff. Not just Red Rocket, but Tangerine is a really interesting independent movie which he wrote. The Florida Project is a good film.
Yeah, it is.
I liked that. I like the fact that he's done quite a lot of sort of niche human subjects. I've seen The Prince of Broadway as well, and that was another film I really liked that all kind of is a bit of a heartbreaker. And he takes these human subjects and he shines a light on them. And the story in Anora, as crazy a story as it seems, that type of thing has actually happened. I can promise you. It's definitely happened on multiple occasions where some young guy with a shitload of money has, gone to a strip joint, fallen in love with a stripper, primarily through physical lust, shall we say, and might have gone off on a drunken bender and got married in Vegas. That's definitely happened. That's a very plausible scenario. The thing I liked about the film the most was that once the parents arrived, the son just completely fell apart and showed his true colors, which was that he really didn't care about the girl. He just wanted one big last bender. And
You know, Lance, the way you're describing the movie makes me think, did you just now watch it, or because
I saw it 3 days ago.
That's not what I took away from that at all.
Well, anyway, that's just. But I'm glad he won, and
Okay.
I like the movie. I mean, in terms of I agree with Stupenzo. 10 films is too many. If we could pick 5 to go in this list, I think the ones that deserve to be there would be Anora, June Part 2 for sure, The Substance for sure. I haven't seen Nickel Boys. I haven't seen Wicked, but it seems very beloved, so I'm sure it's earned its place. And Conclave. I thought Complete Unknown is a great sort of biopic about Bob Dylan's younger days, but is it like one of the most amazing films I've ever seen? Not really. It's all right, you know.
It's a good afternoon flick to watch, kind of thing.
Yeah. With Best Actress, as we were saying earlier, and I think Mickey Madison is one of the best talents of her generation. She's so good already. What is she? 28 or something like that? 25. She's not yet 30, as far as I remember. So to be that good at that age is no small thing. So I'm glad she won Best Actress, but I feel Demi Moore had earned it, and Demi Moore's chance probably won't come again. And I kind of felt bad for her. So I have to ask myself, why did her peers not support her with the votes?
Don't know.
Yeah. So I feels a shame. I don't know if she earlier in her career, if she'd upset a few people or what had happened there, but she definitely earned it. She was really good. But like Stupenzo said, it's a bit like art imitating life, isn't it? The younger one has assumed the mantle. Kind of
Yeah.
thing.
Also, I was pretty shocked that that woman who directed The Substance didn't win Best Director, because every year it's always such a huge thing about getting more female nominees for Best Direction and a female winner for Best Director. It's pretty rare. And this is one of the few times where, she could have won, and I don't think anyone would have complained. I think people would have been excited.
Yeah. Again, I'd put that down to just the body horror thing just put some people off, and it just.
I think you're right about that. Yeah. Because horror is not,
Yeah, I think Silence of the Lambs is the only movie that won, and that's like a thriller. And Sixth Sense and Exorcist and a few others are the only ones that ever got nominated.
Yeah.
Does anybody want to say anything else about the Oscars before we move on?
No one cared.
No one cared. Yeah.
Yeah, I was at a show and I forgot the Oscars were even that day. I was like, dude,
I used to put such a high value on the when I would get my Entertainment Weekly. I would take all like the nominees, and I'd have these like little betting pools at whatever bar I was working at, and we would put the Oscars on Sunday. We used to have like a thing, and it was a long time. And then of course I worked in a movie theater and stuff like that. We'd do little betting and predictions and stuff. So it used to be such a big thing. It's sad that it's fallen to what it has, but I didn't sit and watch this. I just caught the updates on my phone, as I think a lot of us did.
I think that because there's so much shit going on in the world right now, and also because you think of things like the increase of the cost of living to the average person who now is struggling to buy groceries. I mean, I went to a food bank for the first time last year, which is quite embarrassing for me to say in public, but I did one time because I couldn't afford it. So, and it was good. It got me through. They gave me a shitload of stuff.
Yeah.
Couldn't carry it all. Because I don't have a car, so I had to carry it on the bus. But next time I'll take my manservant with me, of course, to make sure I can carry it all. But
as you should.
But yeah, I mean, so people are not that interested in what rich glamorous people are doing who live in really nice mansions by the seaside.
I'm not sure whether that's strictly true, because when we look back at the Depression, the times of the Depression, and other, the 30s and the 40s and the 50s, when times were incredibly hard, the post-war years in this country and in the United States.
There was no internet then.
People were still going. That's right. But people were still going to the cinema. People were interested
Well,
in
movies.
There was no streaming then. There was no streaming then. There was no internet.
No, but
That's
movies
absolutely nothing to do
movies
with
are
it.
the poor man's art form. Like
Yeah,
anyone can go to the
yeah.
movies, and that's why
Yeah.
when the theater tickets get more expensive,
Yep.
it's stupid. But also the
It's-
other thing is, like, in tougher times, like we still watch these award ceremonies because we didn't realize these actors and actresses and filmmakers all hated our guts. We didn't realize that they
Right,
looked down
back
on
then,
us. Like,
yeah.
scum.
Yeah,
they
no, that's
probably-
it. And now all these movie stars have just killed the goodwill with their customers.
Yeah.
I think
They probably
that's
did.
exactly what it is. I
We
think
used
that's
to
they
think
probably
actors
did.
were nice people.
Yeah,
We wanted to
which,
be like them.
which was my point about there was no internet then. There was no social
but
media.
it makes
then.
it makes no difference. It makes no difference.
It does make a
what-
difference because
it
it
makes-
gives the actors a voice to say
No,
stupid
no.
things that puts people off.
No. It makes no difference certainly in terms of the way we consume movies, the way as a consumer, the way movies are exhibited. But in terms of the amount of information that's out there when actors maybe put their wild and crazy ideas online, maybe that has something to do with it, maybe it doesn't. But I think really what it is the fact that we have really poor quality movies that are being produced and thrust upon us, and
But,
studios
there's
that
that.
don't really get studios that don't really care. They're not
I think both of those things can be true. I think both things can be true at the same time. I think definitely the goodwill of, I think people are just not okay with being talked down to. They've been they've been using these platforms and getting up there and just, you've got Julianne Hough, the whitest woman in America, to tell us that, hey, just want to give a quick shout out to the Chumash tribe and stuff like that. Remember that, you're evil. I have,
We're on stolen land.
Yeah, we're on stolen land. That we're having our $1 billion ceremony thing going on. And people know we know too much stuff. Like Lance said, the internet, it was a broad statement, but what I basically take it to mean, and correct, I don't want to speak for you, Lance, but I think it's like, we know too much stuff. We know they have a massive homeless problem in an area, but they'll clean it up for a couple days when a dignitary or when they have the Oscars.
You hit it on the nail on the head. That was exactly what I was talking about.
There's also
we know too much now about things. Sitting and watching these guys have a lavish night doesn't mean the same thing anymore. It doesn't resonate with people in the same way.
When you win Best Picture back then, it was more like audiences and critics agree. This is the best movie of the year. Where nowadays it's like, you will watch this movie and you will like it.
Right.
This is the movie.
That's right. There is definitely a lack of mystery behind what we used to call movie stars. There is nobody now that we would look at now. For example, I'll just give you a quick example. On Sunday, we spoke about the 4 Entebbe films, and there was one of the movies had Kirk Douglas, Burt Lancaster, Elizabeth Taylor, Anthony Hopkins in. The kind of movie that you would never get those kind of stars. They were legendary, or are legendary movie stars. We don't have their kind anymore. I mean, okay, Anthony Hopkins really just takes paycheck movies now, but those kinds of movie stars like Kirk Douglas and Elizabeth Taylor and Burt Lancaster, we don't have those. We don't have that kind of reverence for these people. They're not people that we put upon pedestals anymore. I agree. I mean, we have this sort of instant access to these people in their lives because they want to be all sharey about it. They like to share what they're going through. I really don't think that that's anything to do with why this ceremony is really dying. I think it's really to do with the kind of products that we're being served.
Well, the product certainly has decreased in its value and in its quality. I would not disagree with that, but I'm glad Lance just showed that clip. So like, here's the thing, like there used to be these moments in the award ceremonies, the water cooler moments that you talk about the next day at work. Like, oh, did you see? And I don't mean the Jerry Springer stuff, like Will Smith smacking the brakes off of of
Yeah.
Chris Rock, but I mean like good, cute stuff. Like
You
like
like
what
me.
happened.
You really like me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like Kieran Culkin telling his wife, you know, hey, I did it. Now we can have those kids you promised. You better get ready. Like, you know, there's so few of those endearing moments that
Mhm.
that make us have this kind of goodwill towards
Yeah.
these people. And you know,
Yeah.
you got Meg Ryan and Billy Crystal popping up from Member Berries.
Is that
for mo-
Meg Ryan? God, I haven't seen her in ages.
Yeah, she's got the adrenochrome going big
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
But so it's all of that stuff that, you know, I guess it is the quality of films, it is the quality of the stuff, and it is,
Mhm.
and I think one too many times we've been kind of met, you know, when the nominees were all like, and they flooded the nominees with that horrible Amelia Perez movie, it kind of, it just kind, you're just like, really, is that what you guys are gonna do? And then so we're a lot less forgiving of the things that we might have been 10. And again, like I said, you know, I cut out my Entertainment Weekly. We just cut out all the little things and put them on the big poster board at the bar I worked at and be like, here, who's got a square for this? I think Good Will Hunting's going to take it this year. Or, you know what? That's not true. I didn't know that. But I mean, and this is another cute, endearing moment with Chalamet and
Yeah, that was fun.
but you had to kind of see that other roast that he was in order to get the full joke. So it's almost like you had to do your homework on that. But again, it's the goodwill has been ruined, and it's I don't think that there's a way back. There's way too much stuff going on, way too much virtue signaling, way too much politics, and it's just like we're looking at these people, and we know that they put their nose down on us, and we know that they know we know. So it's just like it's giving Hunger Games vibe.
Here's an interesting. Can I just tell you a very, very interesting fact here?
If you must.
Right, a very, very interesting fact, and it covers all of the Oscars. Do you know Sean Baker is the only Best Director that has ever accepted an Oscar who has actually thanked the movie-going public?
Really?
No other, in fact, no other Oscar winner has ever thanked the movie-going public.
There you
That's
go. That's why I
crazy.
like this guy.
Yeah.
And that's just that in itself, I think, is utterly shameful.
Yeah, agreed.
So for a guy who is an independent filmmaker, and I'm glad that he said at the end of long live independent movies.
Yeah.
I'm glad that you said that.
I mean, it's sad though, because I'm gonna do a prediction on your show right now, Lance. Sean Baker, after this, they're gonna give him one of the MCU films to do. He's going to be the director.
I really hope he doesn't.
I'm saying it right now for posterity. Yeah. He's going to get an MCU film or something, like some big mainstream thing. They're going to give it to Sean Baker.
I think you're right. I think you're absolutely right, because that's exactly what they do to these poor
every
souls,
time.
These great,
every time. Look at the
Gareth
Eternals.
Edwards. Yeah.
I mean, look at Last Jedi.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're going to move away from the Oscars now. What the fuck's that? What's that noise?
Not
me. It was Stupenzo. I just guessed. I thought, which one of you is it? I'm going to mute Stupenzo. And it was Stupenzo.
He's probably getting a phone. Probably his phone. He's probably getting a phone call.
What a guess. Stupenzo, let me know when you're.
I thought you were having your rave party again, Lance.
I thought you were too.
That's my ringtone. That's my ringtone. It's also because my phone is usually on a mic stand, but when I come out here, the mic stand is like resting on the table. So if my phone is on the table, the phone is vibrating.
Well, if you guys hear the Golden Girls theme, that's my ringtone. If it goes off.
Okay, enough banter. We're moving on. So
right.
I'm going to. That's all right. It's already 11 o'clock. We get shitloads of other stuff to get through, so I'm going to have to cut people off. Okay, we're going to talk about this movie, and we're going to watch the trailer. So here it is.
What are we talking about this?
Excuse me, sir. May I help you?
I got sound,
sir?
In an age.
Excuse me, sir. May I help you?
When terrorism knows no boundaries. And the level of threat.
I have a message for the American president.
Knows no limits.
I am in control of Flight 343.
Sir, I don't think this is about hostages.
What are you talking about?
A shipment of the nerve toxin DZ5 was hijacked.
Are you saying nerve gas is on board?
Yes, sir, I am. They plan to use the DZ-5 and the airplane together to detonate here over Washington.
When global response is routine,
London is demanding immediate action. There's a hatch on the belly of the 747 near the nose. We could dock there.
I know you wrote the book on assaulting hijacked aircraft, but this is 5 miles above the Earth.
I don't think we have any other options.
and advanced technology
Who's this? 007?
can accomplish miracles.
What are you doing up here?
Who the hell else is going to do it? You?
Opening the outer hatch.
A life or death decision
Hope there's a good movie on this flight.
for 400 hostages in a plane
Keep it going.
or 40 million civilians on the ground
You can forget Washington. There's enough nerve agent here to wipe out half the eastern seaboard.
will come down to a choice between the unthinkable
The Pentagon is going to shoot us down.
and the impossible.
I'll reach our airspace in 85 minutes.
The hatch has got to be closed down or we'll lose both planes.
Order the F-14s to intercept the 747.
Kurt Russell,
I'm losing control of the airplane.
Halle Berry, John Leguizamo, and Steven Seagal.
We're not going to make it. You are.
Warner Brothers invites you
We're really going to shoot this plane down, are we?
It's too late. They've already crossed the line.
to fasten your seatbelts.
This is directly from the president himself.
Everybody down.
Now you have your orders. Execute them.
Executive decision.
Yeah, so I'm really glad that Northern picked this film because I have to say it's one of my favourite kind of terrorist movies, and just a damn good action film. It's a shame it's got 6.5 on IMDb because it definitely deserves a higher rating. Going to give it more.
It's not a full-on shoot them up, gun them down, take on terrorists in the plane. It's actually very intense. The mostly screen time. They're trying not to blow their cover.
Yeah, it's a really good film. The scene where they finally drop through the roof and attack the plane and the people in the plane. I've shown that as a sequence at the movie quiz. I think 3 times over the last 26 or 7 years. How many years I've been doing it for now? Because it's such a well-directed action scene. Really good. Also, Halle Berry is like an 11 out of 10 in this movie.
Oh, yeah.
This is, I mean, she looks great now, but she's amazing in this.
I mean, and I'll put it, she is not bloody changed.
Also, just a great Steven Seagal role because he does the great fake out where you think he's
the
leading
best
man.
Steven Seagal film ever.
Yeah.
Best Steven Seagal film ever for obvious reasons.
Yeah. Because he doesn't make it. This is the guy who does the jump to conclusions map from Office Space.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Love this guy.
Yeah. But yeah, good choice, Northern. Have you only just watched it?
It's been a long time since I've seen it. I do remember watching it because I did like Under Siege as a kid, and I thought, okay, Steven Seagal's on this. Kurt Russell, I'd watched Tango and Cash. I checked it out, and yeah, fucking Steven Seagal dies like 10 minutes in, but Kurt Russell, and this was before I saw him in Escape from New York and realised, you know, he's fucking cool. Kurt Russell is the bomb.
One of the later roles of J.T. Walsh, I think his last role was in The Negotiator with Samuel L. Jackson. Such a great actor.
Oh, damn.
J.T. Walsh and Kurt Russell in Breakdown.
Yeah, Breakdown is a great film.
Yeah,
I love J.T. Walsh in Pleasantville. He's awesome in that one.
Yeah, and then you got Charles Hallahan from The Thing.
There's some good actors in. I mean, and
really good.
And this does contain one of the very famous John Leguizamo stories with Steven Seagal. Apparently, Steven Seagal was on the set ordering saying, "I'm in charge. I'm the leader out here. I'm the boss." And Leguizamo said he sounded like a
it's Leguizamo, I think you pronounce it.
Leguizamo, yeah.
I like it better the way he says it.
Me too.
Yeah, well, he does it. He seems to be. Well, he's a guy who can't make up whether he's fucking Latin or Italian, so I don't really care how I pronounce his last name. But yeah, apparently he called Steven Seagal. He said Steven Seagal sounded like a fucking retard, and apparently Steven Seagal smashed him through a brick wall. Apparently.
So Steven
Nice.
Seagal assaulted him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They definitely winded it. Yeah, he knocked the wind out of him. That's it.
Just as well he got killed in the film early on, you know. Yeah. So
I tend to think that was the actual executive decision.
Yeah. Oh.
Definitely a studio thing there. We got to get rid of this guy quick, for fuck's sake.
Yeah.
no, I
But
think
look,
that was in the script that character was going to
Yeah.
die. It was let's get a big name to play, you know, set that up. I think that was in the script, but it probably turned out to be a blessing.
Seagal was the big name.
Yeah,
Seagal was a
totally.
massive
Oh, yeah.
name in '96. Yeah,
Oh,
He did a few. I know he had a bit of a run back in the late '80s.
A bit of a run from like '88
huge
to
name in '96, mate. Huge,
Yeah.
This is off the back of Under Siege and Under Siege 2. This is
people were
him at the height of his career.
People
don't
were pissed.
People don't act like that because they're a B-lister.
Yeah.
But I don't like the fact that Kurt Russell is not really an all-round action hero. It's just he's just a guy trying to do his job, and that's it. And he has to sort of be the guy who has to land the plane, even though he's not very well trained at it.
No, it's great. It's a great movie. Good pick. What would you give it out of 10?
I give it a good 8 out of 10. You know, it kind of harks back to the good old days of the Nazis action, sort of suspense thriller.
Yeah. Who else has seen it? And give it a rating, please, if you have.
Yeah, seen it. Yeah, it's good. It's good. I mean, definitely give it an 8. You know, it's a good movie.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Top mention to David Suchet as well as the villain. He's kind of got a very
He's a brilliant villain. He plays it.
Yeah. That's a psychopath. That is a psychopath. There's a coldness to him. There's a very unemotional, way the way he speaks as well is very unemotional. So yeah, and he does it really well. And like Oliver Platt on it as well, who's always very likable. He's always very funny in movies. I like this actor.
Yeah, he suits the role. I do like him in the role. He's pretty good.
Yeah, and he doesn't overdo the comedy like he usually is a very comedic guy. He's always got the funny stuff, but here he is not really trying to be funny. He's just this guy who's kind of got to do this job that he might be in over his head with, and I like that, especially when he's got to use the straw with the bomb, and then the whole accident happens, and they got to try and grab it so it doesn't slide out and cause the bomb to go off.
Rachel Percy-Art says Seagal was huge before he lost his mind. Rachel, if you check, I think you'll find he's pretty huge.
He's still huge, Rachel. He is huge.
He's ginormous now. He was huge before. Now he's ginormous.
The honest time I've watched Steven Seagal now is when Space Ice is doing his little commentary over his.
I've watched one of those every morning when I get up, just to give me a laugh and fun start to the day.
People were so mad about him getting killed. I saw people walk out of the theater.
That's probably just Seagal's family that happened to be visiting.
Couldn't resist that Seagal ass.
I was really pleased when he died, because by then I'd already heard the stories.
Me too.
So they were.
It's a film I've not really given much love for before. I've watched it a couple of times, but never really.
I mean, it's Die Hard on a plane with a special forces team, but it's very good, and
good script.
Yeah, no, it's great,
and different enough from Die Hard not to be Die Hard, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, it's not shoot 'em up; it's mostly suspense.
It's more Fly Hard.
Yeah.
Fly Hard. He's here a week. Okay, we're going to move on because we've got a few other things to get through. Going to go back in time now to the days of Alec Guinness and the Lavender Hill mob, which is a choice of you guessed it, the king of the curmudgeon, the Inside Man.
Yeah, it's 1951, I think, directed by Charlie Crichton, I believe, who did Fish Called Wanda. And of course it's about Alec Guinness. He works for a bank and he's in charge of a bullion delivery every month. So it's a month this monthly bullion delivery, and of course he's coming up to the end of his job, and he's going to be just due to be promoted. He's desperate to have a little bit of good luck in his life. So he decides that he's going to formulate a plan to rob the bullion van. But of course, he's lodging at this little place, and fortuitously, this artist who happens to have his little smelting works, he moves in as well, played by Stanley Holloway. And of course, they start to talk about this plan, and they involve Sid James and Alfie Bass. They have this almost bungled robbery of this £1 million worth of gold bullion, and they melt it down into Eiffel Towers, novelty Eiffel Towers, which Stanley Holloway's company ships to France. And of course, they decided this is how they're going to get the gold out of the country. So they send these crates over to France, and they're not to be touched. So he gives instructions for his retailer over there not to touch them. And of course, she starts to sell them, and he turns up just as she's sold like half a dozen of them to these English schoolgirls. So of course, they're racing around Paris trying to find these English schoolgirls to retrieve these golden 24-karat gold Eiffel Tower things. And
could have been a St. Trinian's crossover.
It could have been, and of course they get back to the UK, and they try to get the final one, and of course this little girl, she gives this Eiffel Tower, novelty Eiffel Tower, to a family friend, let's just say. And of course, it turns out that he's connected with the police, and of course it starts to unfold somewhat. But it's a great film, and it looks amazing. It wasn't until I looked up who the cinematographer was that I realized why this is such a good-looking movie.
Was it Freddie Francis?
It was actually photographed by Dougie Slocum, who did Raiders of the Lost Ark, Indiana Jones, the rest of the Indiana Jones movies, apart from the bad ones, obviously. Rollerball, Kind Hearts and Coronets. He photographed Kind Hearts and Coronets, for Christ's sake.
Right.
This is a major cinematographer, and it looks just beautiful. There are some shots in it that are very sort of French neo-noir. It could be slightly Citizen Kane. Some things look a little bit like Truffaut. The way they're shot, it's just an incredible film. One of my absolute favorites. It's such a beautiful film. It's not
I haven't watched this in a long time. I've got
to Studio Canal have just done another reissue of this, and it's very, very good.
Nice.
It's very, very good. That's worth grabbing. If you haven't seen it, if there's anyone out there that hasn't seen it, then it's another one of those must-watch classic British movies. It's a great crime caper. Certainly one of the best.
We'll go from one splendid Ealing comedy to another. Passport to Pimlico. By the way, Stupenzolicious, be great if you could take this poster and put our heads on it. That'd be pretty funny. Put our heads where these people are.
Sure.
Make sure, don't give me a female body though. No, man. Got to be the guy at the front, haven't I? But yeah, this is a classic film. Do you want to, Inside Man? This is your pick. Do you want to briefly explain the plot?
Yeah. So this is post-wars. This is 1949 London. This is set in Pimlico, a part of London that obviously Lance will know.
That's a young, what's his name from the Carry On, isn't it?
Charles Hawtrey.
Yeah,
yes, it is. Yeah, it is Charles Hawtrey. Yeah,
God,
yes, it is. Yeah. So there's London's being cleared of its unexploded bombs, and there's a final unexploded bomb in Pimlico, and of course they decided they're going to blow the bomb up rather than remove it and try to defuse the thing, because a lot of the buildings around there are derelict anyway. So what happens is a kid goes in there and accidentally sets the bomb off, or does something to set the bomb off. and somebody falls down a hole that suddenly appears. And inside this hole, there's a huge treasure trove from way back of the 17th century. And it turns out that Pimlico was granted as a gift to the Duke of Burgundy. So it's now basically part of Burgundy. It has its own nationality, so it's part of France. So they create a border, they create their own little society within Pimlico, and it's one of those things where I suppose it's about isolationism. You know, if you want to isolate yourself from everybody else, you know, you have to find a way of becoming self-sufficient. And of course, the people of Pimlico, they don't quite understand, although they really desire their own identity as being Burgundians, but they don't seem to understand that there are all other kinds of things and responsibilities that go with that independence. But it's a beautifully shot film. It's one of the great British movies of that era. It is an Ealing comedy. The first one was from Rank, the Rank organisation. This one is actually an Ealing comedy. Again, Stanley Holloway is in it. It's just great. It's a lovely little time capsule. It's a time capsule of London of the era. But it's lovely. It's a lovely film. And again, if anyone hasn't seen it, you know, any younger people that happen to be watching, any millennials that hopefully are watching, and they're looking at this and thinking, "Oh God, you know, it's black and white. You know, I wouldn't give that the time of day." Please do. You have to. You have to give these movies a chance.
Unfortunately, millennials will be expecting us to arrive at their house and deliver the films to them that we think they should watch.
But I despair of people when the things that I really despair of, right? I despair of people that refuse to watch a black and white movie, whether it's an old black and white movie or whether it's a new black and white movie. I despair of those people because they don't know what they're missing. But the other thing that I hate hearing from people is, "Oh no, I haven't seen that. That was before my time." Well, Laurel and Hardy was before my time. Citizen Kane was before my time. Passport to Pimlico was before my time. You know, I mean, all of these movies that we have are so many. There are more movies before your time than are of your time. You know, remember that.
Very
So
true.
look back on instead of consuming the kind of garbage that we're expected to consume. You know, start looking for variety. Don't look for the same thing all the time. Look for variety. This kind of thing. You know, older movies, there's so much more there. The same way, you know, listening to older music. There's more music that's been created, you know, prior to now than there is being created right now. So, you know.
A very, very true statement. Stupenzo, possible inspiration for new facial hair appearance here for you? Don't know.
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I could rock that mustache.
Come back next week with that.
I think Luke would look better with this going on, honestly.
Well, I don't know. I think he'd have to have the
make up
hat.
from a lack of hair on my head anyway.
I was good, but I think if you had the hat, you'd be fine. I think Stupenzo could rock this look without the hat. Yeah. So before we move on, Stupenzo encouraged us to watch Robbie Williams' film Better Man, which unfortunately the public have not sort of turned out to look at, and I was keen to see it because Stupenzo's recommended some things to me which I have really liked. So not entirely trustful of his judgment, but I thought let me give it a watch. I have to say, I agree. It is a really clever film. It's a very clever way of taking what would have been a pretty typical biopic and with self-effacing humor and this whole idea of the CGI aging monkey, with ultimately Robbie Williams playing himself a bit later, although younger actors play him to begin with. It's a clever idea. and I get why he's done it. I liked it, and I would urge people to watch it, whether you're a fan of his or not. I think it really works. If you are a fan of his, it's quite funny how Gary is portrayed in Take That. It's worth watching for that alone. So, yeah, but yeah, I give it a solid 8 out of 10.
Good.
Also, I wrote to Damon Herriman, who came on the channel, gave an interview because he's in it. He plays Take That's manager, and he replied. He got back to me, thanked me for the comments, and he said, yeah, he's really proud of the film, and I'm hopeful that he passed on the comments to Mr. Williams himself. So I think he did. So there you go. So
yeah, he got the northern accent bang on. He really did for an Australian there. Because usually when they do an English accent, it's just an English accent. But no, he got the Mancunian accent down to a T.
Yeah, he was good. Really good in it. I feel there were probably more scenes with him that we didn't see. But yeah, really liked it.
Yeah, he really does remind me of the actor who did the comedy version of his manager in the Star Stories stuff. I don't know if you ever watched that back in the late 2000s.
I did.
On Channel 4. Yeah.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, I've just recommended it to Ed. It's funny. It is really funny.
So, Stupenzo, let's go to the first of your choices for tonight. Did you say one of them was Presence?
Yeah, I did watch Presence. And, you know, while the movie itself was okay, it was a very inspiring movie in terms of like inspiring other filmmakers. Because Steven Soderbergh, he's got another movie that I'm excited about coming out this year, Black Book, or no, not Black Book, Black Box, Black Bag, whatever, the spy romance movie with Kate Blanchett and I can't remember. Doesn't matter. Point is, Steven Soderbergh is not afraid to do more experimental, reserved films. He did Bubble back in the early 2000s. It was the first digitally distributed movie. That was kind of a big deal. It wasn't a good movie. This movie was one of his mother. He did another iPhone movie. He's made a few movies filmed on iPhones. Unsane, which was better than this one. Unsane is really good. But this movie, Presence, was great because it really shows you that you could make a cool movie. This is a really stripped down, reserved kind of supernatural thriller. I wouldn't call it a horror movie. It's like a haunting of some kind. But the whole movie is just a house, about 6 actors, and a camera, which is, I assumed, operated personally by Steven Soderbergh. And it's a camera that's obviously on a little mount or a tripod, and the camera just kind of floats around the house, kind of like Panic Room, except without special effects. It's just literally a camera that just kind of goes through the house, and you get the idea that it's like a first-person perspective of some kind of presence, and it's kind of just slowly unraveling mystery of what the presence is and what it wants with this family that just moved in the house. And I don't really want to spoil it. It's pretty good. Yeah, we got a pretty cool ending. But for the point, you could watch it at triple speed and not miss much. It is a very slow, reserved movie. But yeah, I liked it. I thought it was pretty fun, interesting premise. And, you know, the camera work, you know, the whole movie has this like zero zoom iPhone look. So everything's got this very, you know, what's this like distorted kind of depth of field, you know, makes these spaces look a lot bigger than they really are. And you know, the acting is all kind of a little ham-fisted. It's the dialogue exposition is a little shoehorned in. But basically, yeah, you got this family of 4 that moves into this new house, and the teenage daughter seems to be the only one that's aware that there's like something watching them. Like when she first gets to the house, she like looks at the camera, right at the camera, you know, a few times, and you get this idea. And whatever the presence is seems to mostly hang out in her closet. Yeah, it is slow. Like I said, watch it at double speed, triple speed. You won't miss much. It's just a kind of fun little mystery. This movie probably won't have a lot of rewatchability factors, but you know, it was an interesting little flick. And like I said, the idea, I said the same thing about one of my favorite movies from last year, the Front Room. that was another movie that was just like a house and some actors, although there's way more production value in the front room. But this movie is like, yeah, you and a couple friends nowadays can make a movie. It is not hard. You just got to have a solid script and some performers and the drive to do it. There's no like lighting in this movie. It's all filmed like with the real house lighting because these digital cameras, man, these iPhones, you know. And I know that kind of is causing this problem where you have actual director of photography, cinematographers kind of taking the back seat, kind of phoning in. A lot of movies are underlit. They don't do expressive lighting, and I understand that's a problem. Steven Soderbergh knows how to do that stuff. So when he does just decide to do a movie that looks that's really reserved like this, he's like one of these guys that's like, hey, whatever, I got a few months to kill, I'll make a movie. He's one of those guys. It's really neat. So I gotta give the guy my hats off to the dude, because even if it was like a 6 out of 10, maybe a 7 out of 10, the movie, it's still like it's one of those movies that was like, man, like the future of filmmaking. You know, it's like it's not getting harder to make a movie by any means. It's getting easier, and like the idea of circumventing big production houses and distributors to make movies, that's right around the corner. If it's not already happening now, but it is happening now. But
I think it's more of a novelty, to be honest with you. I think it's more of a novelty idea. I don't think it's the sort of thing that's going to, I think it's the kind of thing that's going to catch on with students and make them think that they can make movies. I think this is definitely a novelty thing.
I think it's more like, what's your excuse for not making a movie, basically? And the whole movie does have this kind of fisheye lens. But yeah, I kind of agree. Like, it's not going to be like, I don't think movies should be like this, moving forward by any means. But yeah, it shows you that, like, I think we're going to see an increase in quality of these bare bones, low budget indie movies. Like these, like for instance, trauma films, they're garbage, fun nonsense. They come straight to video. They're just schlock. But like the idea that we're going to get really professional looking schlock, that's actually interesting to me. I like that. You watch these Lifetime Hallmark movies nowadays, and they have a decent look to them cinematography wise. They're filmed by professionals. These movies are made on factories, like factory made. But yeah, this movie was okay. The one I really want to talk about is the documentary that I rewatched. I'd seen it before in the theaters when it premiered in Boston. It's called The Devil and Daniel Johnston. And it's basically a documentary about the famous outsider musician Daniel Johnston. And if you guys don't know, he's very famous around Austin. He got really huge when Kurt Cobain started wearing his "Hi, how are you" shirt everywhere. It was like a weird frog alien. It said "Hi, how are you?" And that "Hi, how are you" is like graffitied on some prominent building in South Congress in Austin. And there's this big mystery about, who is this guy? And I had just moved into Austin, and my guitar player was working at Alamo Drafthouse, and they were premiering this, Daniel Johnston documentary. And I learned all about him, and it is a really good movie because not only is it very interesting if you're a musician, you're a fan of his music, or you don't know anything about his music, but it's also just a really crazy story about like mental illness and artists. There's this fine line between being a great artist and being, mentally unwell or crazy. And you get these certain characters like, Van Gogh and Daniel Johnston, where they're too crazy. You've got who are some other good ones? Needle in the Hay. Who's that singer? Died. Nick Drake. Just a lot of singers who die of drugs and go crazy. Daniel Johnston, he is a young, very charismatic young guy. Very artistic. Doesn't take any lessons. That's what I mean when I say outsider music. A lot of people don't like outsider music, and with good reason. Like, you're a professional musician and you've got people like pretending to know chords on a guitar and they're just kind of faking their way through it, but they got the drive to write the music. But yeah, Daniel Johnston, he basically was kind of like at the same time of his at a late stage, early adulthood, early 20s, he moved to Austin, found himself in Austin, also finding he's basically like schizophrenic, manic depressive, and has grand delusions. And at the same time, he started experimenting with LSD and stuff, and basically like went really crazy. And also at the same time, MTV was in Austin trying to showcase new artists, and he kind of just wandered on set. And yeah, it was crazy how like he was making these tapes in his spare room, his sister's spare room. He would set up this like little keyboard and a tape recorder, and he would play the songs on a tape, record them, and then he wanted to make a new tape. He had to play all the songs again, record it again, So anytime he handed you a tape, it was like, I did all this in one performance, And the songs themselves, like, he's not a good singer. He's not a good guitar player. He's an okay piano player. But his songs written, like you probably might have heard some of his songs being covered by bigger artists.
Who's gonna like this film, and what's your rating for it out of 10?
Man, I'd give it like a solid 8 or 9 out of 10. This is a really engrossing documentary about not just Austin music, but just mental illness, like I said. And this guy, I highly recommend it because it's on YouTube in full. It's on Tubi in full. And this is a documentary I watched like 20 years ago, and I watched it again the other night, and it still holds up. And it's just such a great movie. And it's just Daniel Johnston. Is he a saint? Is he a devil? You don't know. You feel sorry for the guy. Obviously, he's got this very troubled life. He's just a weird guy.
What would you give the Presence out of 10? The previous film you talked
about? I said like 6 out of 10, maybe 6, a 7. Okay. Yeah.
All right. Okay. So one strong recommendation for a documentary, and a so-so recommendation for a horror film.
Yeah.
Lord of Toxicity. You've got a couple of things you want to recommend. Cold-blooded.
Hello?
It's John. Max is dead.
Really?
Yeah, Gordon's the boss now. He wants to see you.
Here? All right, make sure that the bullets are aligned. Prepare your gun for firing.
Okay, so what are we watching?
So that's 1995's Cold Blooded with Jason Priestley and Peter Riegert. Jason Priestley is kind of this autistic bookmaker for the mob, and Robert Loggia is the head mob boss. And after somebody passes away, they put him under Peter Riegert's tutelage to become the new hitman, and him being kind of borderline autistic, although they didn't say stuff like that back then, but kind of makes him like really good at the job. And it's just one of those dark comedies that comes along and you remember it because you saw it on cable late one night or something like that. And it really shows you that Priestley could have done a lot more. I know he had some success with his private investigator show that he has, but other than that, like, he has just this great deadpan delivery with everything he does. And of course, Peter Riegert's amazing in it. And yeah, it's kind of hard to find. I had to buy it, and it's on my Plex Pass now.
This has also got Michael J. Fox and Talia Balsam in it.
Yep, just as a really quick like cameo. Their scene is what brought me into the movie, because I remember seeing it was in the trailers and stuff like that, and then I remember watching that and being like, what is going on right now? And then yeah, I don't want to give too much away, but yeah, it's just one of those kind of it's all saturated Southern California type things. I mean, Michael J. Fox is like heavy on like a lot of the promotions, but he's like in it for like a minute. But yeah, it's really good. It's very enjoyable, and it's something I picked up.
In a family business, the greatest basketball franchise in the history of the game, the Los Angeles.
Okay, hang on, that's a different. This is your other choice, right?
Yeah, this is. I got slides down there too, in case you don't want to play clips. That's Running Point. This is one the girlfriend kind of. She's as voracious as you are, Lance, with like, hey, we gotta watch this Netflix show or this HBO Max show. Like, I'll come over, and she's like, this is what we're watching now. I'm like, okay. So I just kind of get pulled into it.
You've got to negotiate favors for these things.
Facts. Facts. There's no negotiating with you, but with her, I do kind of. I'm like, all right, well, that's fine.
Oh, this is the training ground for you. So this puts you in good stead. So you're ready to go into combat with her, so to speak.
So this is what's her name? God, why can I never
Kate
remember
Hudson.
her name?
Kate Hudson.
Thank you. Yeah, Kate Hudson is she's a former kind of party girl. She was in Playboy. She's come from a wealthy family. The dad owns this basketball team. It's supposed to be a play on the LA Lakers, and you know, the eldest son who's been running it, he develops this really serious drug problem that just gets out of control. So it's kind of a family business, and then they put her in charge, and she has no idea what she's doing. And but she is good at certain things, and that's where she does her strength. Like when she negotiates stuff, she's you know, done very well. It's sort of think like either Ballers. It's kind of like Ballers, just, you know, maybe a feminine version, or like First and 10, or Arliss. It's a lot like Arliss, like that, but like a female version of it. So it's pretty funny. It's charming. It's one of those things you can have on and watch, and you know, she's just like, I gotta go watch more episodes tonight, actually.
I do like Kate Hudson, and it has to be said, she's definitely sliding into her mum's shoes as the comedy blonde femme fatale.
Oh, I'm glad that you said shoes there. I wondered what you were going to.
Man, did you have you just come or something? What's just happened?
I wondered where you were going with that. She's definitely sliding into her mum's shoes.
In her acting career.
I love Kate Hudson. I would, and yeah, she does look great, Admiral Teague, but I probably wouldn't put her in her mom's. Her mom was really brilliant comedian, and I'd really have a hard time with that. Like Wildcats is still one of my favorite movies, where she was just so freaking funny. And you know, of course, Private Benjamin.
How old's Hudson now? 30s, 33, something?
No,
like that?
She's 40s, bro. She's in the 40s now.
She's looking pretty good.
Yeah, she's doing good. She's very cute. It's raunchy. You know, it's exact. I mean, like all the ones that I just name dropped, like Arliss and First and 10 and Ballers. It's like that, and some of it's a little juvenile, but it's not anything where you're just like, you're not rolling your eyes. It's all stuff that's, and she's very self-deprecating in it. Like she kind of knows she's dumb, and she's only smart in like really niche things, and she doesn't really girl boss it up, even though everyone's like, you're the girl boss, and she's like, I'm kind of not. Like I kind of don't know what I'm doing here. But and the two dudes that play her brothers are pretty funny. I don't know them, and I don't know what else they've been in, but it kind of gives you a glimpse. Some of the stuff is really over the top and ridiculous, but it's also kind of like it gives you an idea of what that world is like now, especially in present day, where they can like make or break a deal just because somebody gets on Twitter and says something ridiculous.
Well, look at what happened with Amelia Perez. What would you give Cold Blooded out of 10?
Oh, Cold Blooded is a 10 out of 10.
Oh,
it's
wow.
so good.
I have to say, I do think Jason Priestley is an underrated actor, simply because he was in Beverly Hills 90210. It took ages for anyone.
Well,
to
this
take
was
him
the thing. He was trying. He did this. Yeah, he did this while he was still in renegotiations with 90210. He was trying really hard, because this is 1995. He was trying hard to kind of branch out, because he felt he could do other stuff. And I don't disagree. I think that's why it didn't do very well, because people just weren't ready to see their dreamboat, you know, gunning people down, even in a dark comedy.
He had a really good role in Tombstone, and most of his scenes got like cut to ribbon.
Yeah, that's right.
Billy Zane.
Yeah,
and,
that's true.
There is an extended version of Tombstone, which I thought I purchased on Blu-ray, turned out to be the regular cut. I was very annoyed. But there is I have seen the extra scenes, and there's a lot of extra scenes with him and Billy Zane's character. Because he kind of falls in love with Billy Zane's character. It's a sort of bit of a gay subtext thing. Yeah, so I knew you'd get excited.
I mean, I'm gonna find it.
So
yeah. Just waiting for Inside Man to suddenly guffaw again. But yeah, okay. So 10 out of 10 for that one. What about for Running Point though?
I mean, listen, Running Point is, I mean, it's exactly, it's all of those things that I described, but it doesn't have the, if you're thinking you're going to get Entourage or Ballers or First and 10 or Arliss, you're not going to get that. But it does have, it's going to basically be, as much as you find Kate Hudson to be charming and watchable, as much as you find that, if that's a thing, then you're gonna have a good time. But if you don't like Kate Hudson, or you don't really care about the machinations of behind the scenes sports stuff, you're just gonna be like, man, this is not for me. But I mean, I laugh every episode. So solid 7.
Okay. Gonna just comment on the people that have joined us in the chat tonight, because I feel like I forgot to do that. So we've had Aaron Charman in the house. Hey guys, Rachel Perciar and Aaron were both with us on the interview earlier. Wormy Spoons was here. Great to see you, Keithy, of course. Razorhead, that's David Lynch's ghost in disguise. Flav, Evening Lance and crew. Great to see you. Independent film director Oliver Hollingdale, who directed that epic fantasy film called I Need More Castles, is in the house. And have I missed anyone? Let me scroll through here. Because the seems like it was Heel Moxley's back. Great to have you. I know you've been with us before. DJ Plain Ice is here, who was also on the interview yesterday. By the way, I had about 30 people watching my interview yesterday all the way through, which was good numbers from Monday night. So I was quite pleased about that. Skulls, a whole posse of DJ Skulls was in the chat, which made the chat extremely entertaining. Yeah, so, and I think also Tom, who I haven't seen in the chat for quite a while. James Evans, I don't think I've seen before. You're welcome to be here. Thank you very much for tuning in. Yeah, I don't think Tom's been with us for a while. He also mentioned Kind Hearts and Coronets to a stretch, and is another fan of Ealing comedies and in films of that era in general. So, of course, we approve, Tom. Thank you. Been lurking on a lot of streams lately, but going to bed early. No problem. But he very much appreciates this community, as do we. Admiral Teague, fellow YouTuber. Kate Hudson looks great. You did tell me to put that noise in the post. So yeah, there we are. Okay. Thanks very much for coming in. Oh, James is still with us, so good to have you here. Thanks for those two recommendations. In Northern, I think you had another one.
Yeah, it's just mostly Reacher, which has been going for like 4 episodes now.
Yeah,
it's still a pretty good series, better than the second one, but still not as good as the first. But still, I would take the worst season of Reacher over the best episode of The Acolyte anytime.
So far, I agree with you. I've seen all 4 episodes of season 3, I believe it is. And definitely so far better than season 2, which I thought was really so. Could have been any action show, really.
Yeah, I think it works because Reacher is kind of by himself again, but he still has a team to work with. Where in the second season, he was mostly with a team.
Yeah,
throughout of it.
Yeah. I'd be quite happy to sort of see a story where he has no backup at all. I think would be quite interesting, and I'm sure some of the books are like that.
Most of them are like that. I'm surprised they didn't do that. Actually, I'm really surprised.
I mean, this one definitely leans more into that. There are people on the phone occasionally, and people help him with this setup to get him in. But after that, he's basically on his own. But yeah, I like Alan Richardson sells the part really well. He's great for this role, and as Tom says, the show doesn't take itself too seriously. You've got the you there, mate, which is appealing.
Toxic mentioned that in the book he's basically just a bit of a socially removed arsehole, and I kind of do agree. And Richardson does bring a bit more personality, even though he is basically faithful to the part.
In
a way.
Yeah, because you're reading one of the books now while you're watching the show, right?
Yeah, it's very dry. It's like I didn't know what's happening. I said I just minded my own business. I said that's a narrator in the audiobook, by the way.
That sounds like a Dr. Seuss book.
Yeah, sounds nothing like Richardson. The book is told by his point of view, so you don't really get all the stuff that Roscoe Finley are doing while he's out of the way. So, but yeah, it is very dry, and he is pretty bland in the books. And thankfully, Richardson sort of like plays that blandness, but he gives him a bit of charm. Like he gives his delivery more of a deadpan kind of sense of humor.
Well, I said so far this season was rating a 7 for me. That kind of remains unchanged. Although episode 4 I thought was the best episode so far.
Really?
Where are you?
Was a bit weak, but Richardson still makes it work. I mean, especially with the kid, you know, Zachary's son. Where it's like, what if I'm not the weaker kid in the fight? You're always the weaker kid in the fight.
Yeah, I'd like to see him have more scenes with the son. Actually,
I think we might
because the comedy there is really good.
Well, they are kind of like detraction from the book a tiny bit, according to Toxic. So we probably will get more scenes. And I don't know if Anthony Michael Hall's character knows that Reach is kind of like probably not being honest with him, and he probably might be seeing him as a way to get out from underneath McCabe or Quinn's thumb, for lack of a better word.
What would you? Where are you at with the show out of 10 overall at the moment?
Well, I'm at episode 4, and so far I would give it maybe an 8 out of 10.
Okay.
Wow.
Well, I give it maybe a 7. You give it maybe an 8. Toxic, are you watching it?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, we watch it together. Me, him, and Blue watch it together.
Okay. Well, it's got big hunky men in it, so I knew you'd be watching it. Where
Facts.
are you at with it out of 10?
I'm not liking it. Especially this last episode. I'm not. I'm actually going to do a show right after this where I'm going to talk about all my shows that have come back this season, and I'm really chafed at all 3 of them. I'm not.
So it's going to be it's going to be a curmudgeon. It's going to be a curmudgeon type.
It's going to be a praise Enzo for his correct opinion stream. That's what it's going to be.
Listen, I've already I've praised you a bunch.
I'm not complaining.
But yeah, I'm going to have to pull out my inner Gary, and I'm not. Lord of Toxicity is not a happy camper. Lance. I'm not happy.
So Toxic, we're going to prescribe you some of these just for the week.
No.
Anti-grumpy git.
That's not going to make the shows any better, Lance.
So,
I like how pulling a Gary is a term now.
Pulling a Gary.
Pulling a Gary. We're going to bring that into the zeitgeist with these. Pulling a Gary.
Okay. Well, yeah, fair enough. Has anybody... I've got one more show to mention briefly. I recommended this show to people last week. I wondered if anybody has watched it yet. You've probably all been busy doing other things, but has anybody watched Paradise on Disney yet?
No.
Anyone?
Oh.
No, not yet.
But if anyone in the chat has watched Paradise, because it's now completed, the last episode dropped yesterday. Yeah. Please let me know your rating for it out of 10. I have to say, I think the show is really good. I give it a solid 8. And I'm actually quite looking forward to the second season, which has been commissioned. The second season was commissioned after they dropped, I think, the first 3 episodes. I think after episode 4 dropped, they confirmed. So it's done pretty well, ratings-wise. It's done pretty well critically. So yeah, I'm curious to see now. Well, I still don't want to tell you guys any more than I've told you already, but I'm curious to see what the kind is. So it's a rating 8 out of 10 on IMDb. I think that's good. Here you go. So you got what is Paradise? Can't wait to see what happens next. Took me from the start. So far, so good. If you like dystopian mystery thrillers, 9 out of 10. Nostalgia, 8 out of 10. 8 out of 10. A town full of secrets. Sterling and Sarah Spectacular, 10 out of 10. 8 out of 10, first episode drawn in. Entertaining enough, 7 out of 10. That's Inside Man's secret review there. I Am a Fan, 10 out of 10. Okay, so you got 1 4 out of 10 here, but there's enough good reviews there to, I would suggest it's worth your time. I think it's good.
Is it a mystery box show, Lance?
Yeah, it's kind of a mystery box action political thriller. But not.
They go screw the pooch with these mystery box shows, though. That's the thing.
Facts.
Well, I mean, I would just say Is it a mystery box show? I mean, there's a big twist at the end of the first episode, which tells you a lot. So you're not you're not constantly in the mystery box. The mystery box gets blown up pretty quickly, but I don't want to tell you what that is because it's a significant thing, which would spoil the first episode for you because I did not see it coming. I started picking up on things, but I was trying to work out what exactly is going on here. And then, and I thought it was one thing, and I was wrong.
Was that lady in the suit the one from? Was she in Deadwood?
Julianne Nicholson. She's superb in this.
Is she?
She plays a character very similar to the actress who plays the unhinged woman in the supermarket in the film The Mist. She's like that. She's like that character basically. So yeah, I mean, I recommend it. I don't know. Did anybody watch the show I recommended about the woman in Northern Ireland during the Troubles? Anybody see that? Say Nothing.
I did watch that. I was unfortunately the girlfriend's Disney Plus got shut down, and I'm not paying for another streaming service. I'm waiting for her to get it back on.
How many episodes did you see?
I got into where they started after they got beaten really badly, and then they started going to the meetings and arming up. So maybe the second or third episode.
Yeah, pretty good, right? So far?
Yeah, no, really, really good. I didn't know that, and I think you made a good assessment. I didn't want to interrupt you last week. It doesn't favor really either. It shows how like a lot of sides were wrong, and then there was like strife within the sides.
Yeah,
with that. So
that's what I really liked about it was the political neutrality.
Yeah,
and not pushing any one social agenda. And you think it might do, but the film, just when you think it's going to do that, it kind of, pulls out a different card, which I really, really like. These are some more stills from Paradise, so you can, from this still alone, you can guess the War Games type mentality of where the film is going. So it's good. It's a good show. It's a good show. Blue Collar Loser for $1,199. I think I read that wrong. I think Mickey 17 is going to be fun. The remake of Metal Mickey. Daredevil also. I told you, Blue Collar, don't mention superhero stuff on my channel. No, thanks for that, buddy. Much appreciated. Mickey 17 does look like a fun movie. Has anybody seen the trailer for that?
Yeah. Yes. Blue and I are going to do a review on it.
When's it out?
I think it's out tomorrow, Thursday.
This week.
I think. Yep.
You going to go to the movies to see it?
Yeah. Anytime Blue invites me, I make an excuse. I don't have his Regal pass, but I have my I never gave my badge back. So I just flash my badge and tell them there's a security problem and I go into the whatever theater I want. So that's usually what I do.
Got these ushers running around like, oh my God, something's going on. There's probably going to be an active shooter in the theater.
Is that guy Jack Reacher? Is he Jack Reacher?
Yeah. Is that guy the gay Jack Reacher? Oh. Well, who knows?
Man, Lance, you were brutal on me lately with
well, there you go. It's the cough. Sorry. What can I do?
All right, fair enough.
So, okay, got to get him in while I'm still here, So, has anybody got anything they want to recommend quickly that we missed before we wrap up? Because it's 5 to midnight.
Nope.
I think can wait. I think can wait till next week.
I know you wanted to talk about Ghost in the Shell, but we'll do that. We'll do that one next time. All right. Okay, so in case people didn't see it, we had an industry interview yesterday with DJ Skull, and
nice.
He talked about his time in prison and heroin addiction, which was a background to him that I had not been able to find out in my research. So that clanger landed in the interview fairly early on. Watch the interview because it's pretty interesting and really fascinating guy. Had a really, really interesting life, and I hope to be collaborating with him on a project in the near future. So yeah, that interview was interview 102, which was yesterday. Then we had Wayne Byrne on tonight, which was interview 103. And I'm hoping to lock down a couple more interviews this month pretty soon. So yeah, we're hoping to. I think we've got a couple of authors coming on, and I think a couple of other people from the film industry as well. So lots more interesting people to come. So only 97 interviews to go until we hit 200. But the most important thing is please tell people about the channel. Tell people about the content. Got a lot of interviews on there in addition to the Nielsen ratings. Can you believe this is number 60? So we've been doing the Nielsen ratings for 60 weeks. I should have a little button to press with a fanfare that goes, you know, but Enzo will now use his vocal cords to interpret something for that. Number 60. There you go. That was good. That was good. I like that. So yeah, so I think that means that we're going to hit, how many weeks are there left of this year? I think we're probably going to hit Nielsen ratings 100 around Christmas time.
Yeah.
It's a miracle.
So we're going to have
for Outcast. I'm just waiting for the Nielsen rating 69, just so I can make a nice little challenge.
When we do the Nielsen rating 69, that's going to have an adult theme.
Showgirls.
Dirty.
That's going to be Showgirls, Boogie Nights.
Yeah. The week of St. Paddy's Day, are we doing our favorite Irish movie or something like that? Or
when is that?
Week after next,
17th of March. Yeah, we could do an Irish themed Nielsen ratings. Why not?
Ooh.
Yeah.
I'm the leprechaun.
Yeah.
Aye.
Wouldn't Grandma Kelly be more tiffed at me than if she found out I was here hanging with all these Englishmen?
Indeed. Well, yeah, so that's on the 17th. We'll do an Irish themed Nielsen rating. So your picks for the 17th, I don't think it'll be the 18th of March. That's Nielsen rating. But that's close enough. So your pick has to be films or TV shows that have either an Irish theme or an Irish connection. So that gives you some time to research and find something.
To be sure, that's right.
So, for example, Tom has suggested Boondock Saints, which would qualify.
Boo.
In Bruges, yeah, that would also qualify.
In Bruges is great.
So,
great movie.
Okay, bacon and taters for everyone. Yes, please. Taters? What are taters? All right.
Taters.
Boiled bacon.
I know a few things about taters.
I'm sure you do.
Boil them, mash them, stick them in a stew.
Yeah. All right. Well, look, that's it from us. Just remains for me to thank my wonderful panel, Northern English Bastard, Lord of Toxicity, the Inside Man, and last but by no means least, my regular co-host and king of the thumbnail, Stupenzo. I don't suppose you created that poster and stuck our heads on it, did you, while we were doing the show?
No, I ate an apple.
So disappointing. So disappointing. Set that up for that to come, but it just didn't happen. Okay, well, next week. So I think we're going to do a Chew the Fat where we talk about a movie or two movies in depth. I think this Sunday we might be doing a Chew the Fat on The Hunt for Red October and Crimson Tide. It might happen Sunday or it might be Monday night. Either way, I need the thumbnail, please, ASAP. Okay. So we're gonna talk about those two modern submarine movies and discuss what's good and not so good about them, where they excel, where they don't. But they're both good movies. But we're gonna talk about we're gonna score them, see which one is the best. And of course, if you haven't read the book, The Hunt for Red October, by the late Tom Clancy, I highly recommend it. It is way better than the film. Way better. Has a much better ending. Much more satisfying. Okay, so that's it from us. thanks for everybody who's been tuning in. Really do appreciate your time. I'll be shooting straight off tonight as I'm feeling a bit poorly. So, guys, thanks very much for joining me again. And don't forget, my guests have got various things coming up. Bastards Breakdown is doing a Millennium Actress, Japanese anime show, I believe, pretty soon, right?
That's like on the 22nd or something, right?
It's on the 28th of March.
Yeah. So we got a while. I think I'll be on that one.
But I thought I'd mention it. Bastards Breakdown is also doing This Is Spinal Tap. I'm planning on doing that soon.
Nice.
But that's okay.
Yeah, that won't be for another few weeks though. But,
that's on the 21st. That's a great movie, mate. I could tell you so many things about that film as well. By the way, there is a Holy Grail 9-hour cut of that film, and I have it. I have it. It's literally everything that they shot. It's literally everything that they shot put in order into an edit before they cut it down. Yeah, and it was rumored to exist, and I thought, well, I read this article about it, and I thought I'm going to see if I can find it, and I did. So I have
tomorrow I got a full-length commentary coming out for Spider-Man, the 1977 made-for-TV movie. So don't.
Nicholas Hammond.
I guess, yeah.
Dude, guess what? I saw that in the cinema.
I believe it. I was shocked to find out that there was that movie, a show, and then 2 sequels. So we'll probably watch those eventually. But yeah, the first one full length tomorrow, 2:30 p.m. my time. So that'll be fun.
They made a sequel to that, which was called Spider-Man and the Dragon's Challenge.
Yep.
And it's double billed with a film of that starred, among other people, Arnold Schwarzenegger, which was called Cactus Jack.
Oh, I know Cactus Jack.
Yeah.
Yeah, Cactus Douglas. I think it was called The Villain as well, wasn't it?
I feel like those Spider-Man movies would have done better if they would have had a pool.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes. And a couple of ladies in spandex fighting in them.
Well, indeed. I think on that note, to send us out, unless anyone else has got anything they want to plug quickly.
Eclectic Goat and myself will be talking about Shutter Island this week on my channel this time.
When is that?
I believe we should be doing it either tomorrow or Thursday.
Okay.
Love the Electric Goat. Yeah, she's great. She's great. She's smart. She checks me a lot. She puts me in my place. I like it.
Yeah, she's the sexiest animated goat thumbnail you've ever seen. If you're into that kind of thing, so
probably the only time it's okay to be a fairy. Then I'm guessing.
If you're from Wales, check that out. On that note, I think we're going to sign out with the trailer for Spider-Man, the Dragon's Challenge. Just check out the quality of the Spidey effects in the good old year of 1979.
Yep. This soundtrack rocks, I gotta say.
Oh, yeah, I love it.
Now this is the show. None of this is in the movie we watched, but yeah, good stuff.
Yeah, I'm gonna look for this soundtrack tonight. Actually,
it's a good one.
Yeah.
By the kid.